The National Vice President of Association of Nigerian Licensed Customs Agents, ANALCA, Dr. Farinto, says importers and their agents have incurred demurrages worth over 40 billion naira and still counting due to the suspension of Gtbank PLC from custom duty collection as a result of the bank's inability to remit collected funds to the federal government coffers. Dr. Farinto, in a chat with journalists, recently lamented that the suspension of the bank has resulted to over 400,000 consignments being trapped across ports in Nigeria and called on the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, to investigate the bank's activities.
Well, first and foremost, I need to correct an impression. The amount that Nigerian importers are losing, not lost, are losing as a result of storages and demurrages. Because loss is when you think the problem is over. The problem is not yet over. These consignments are still trapped in the ports, and the agent cannot clear them. And even some who have made assessment cannot pay duty and other charges. It's running into over 40 billion now, and that's very, very unfortunate. And we have a situation on ground where nobody is talking to Nigerians. Nobody is talking to our stakeholders. Nobody is talking to freight forwarders. Neither is anybody talking to the custom broker. And that's why we say there's need for us to make the world know what is happening in the maritime industry. We have a situation where GTB must have heard through issue of reconciliation. From the grapevine, we heard that GTB has not remitted hundreds of billions into Federation account, haven't collected this money on behalf of federal government. And she was suspended. She was advised by the House of either Customs and Excise, directed the Customs, Committee on Customs, National House of Assembly, directed the Customs to suspend GTBs from the portal. GTB has been suspended, and people are actually trapped. As I talk to you now, there are over 4,000 containers throughout the whole Federation who opened their formem through GTB and cannot proceed further, haven't gotten their pre-arrival assessment report, because you must pay the duty through the bank where you are, the commercial bank or the dealer bank where you have opened your formem. People are trapped now, and there are over 40% of vehicles that needs to be cleared from the seaport who have gotten assessment that can also move forward. They are trapped. They cannot go ahead. There are about 10% of people who have actually even paid duty, but as a result of the suspension, the status does not change in the part of customs, and they cannot move forward in the area of clearance of this good.
Recall that the Nigerian Customs Service, NCS, had 2 weeks ago announced the suspension of Gtbank from collection of import duty payments on cargoes, thereby subjecting importers and clearing agents to suffer huge demurrages at the ports.
By virtue of customs operations, customs is supposed to be supervised by the Federal Ministry of Finance, and it is the Federal Ministry of Finance that actually approved this number of banks that do duty collection on behalf of federal government. And where there are issues, there should be engagement from Nigerian Customs Service in line with World Customs Organization's directive. There ought to be engagement before even removing them from portal, before the summary suspension. There ought to be a stakeholder engagement and said, in the next 72 hours, GTB will be removed from the portal. In view of that, please let us inform the trading community. There's nothing like that. And that's why I say we have a custom that is very docile, very lazy, and not practicing in line with international best practice. And it is unfortunate we are getting it in this administration.
In view of this, the National Vice President of ANALCA has called on all its members to keep record of demurrages paid during this period, as the association will ensure Gtbank is responsible for the payments.
And that's why I say the Governing Council will be having their meeting by this Thursday. I'm going to raise it under national emergency, and that we are going to move a motion that whatever demurrages and storages that accrue as a result of the inability of freight forwarders and importers to clear their cargo from the seaport, GTB should be responsible for it. That's why we've been calling on all our chapter chairmen and all the associations to continue to collate data, collate assessment, collate demurrages and debit note from now, so that by the time we sit down and look at the issue of GTB, and we're looking at it and okay, GTB, these are your responsibility. You have to pay back this money to the importers, and we must make sure it is done.